What if money didn't matter and you could buy any electric bike? That was a trike from a company called Outrider. We'll come back to them in just a little bit. A few months back, I made a list of the most insane and most expensive electric bikes on the market, and then I painstakingly whittled that list down to just 3. These 3 might have also been the only ones to return any of my calls. Number 3 is the Voima, and at first glance, it looks like a pretty typical mountain bike. It has a Bosch electric motor with 85 Newton meters of torque. It has a 750 watt-hour battery, which is actually a pretty good size. It has a really awesome 190 millimeters of travel, so this is a downhill bike, and it's running 29-inch wheels. But that's where the normalness of the bike stops. You see, the frame is carefully crafted from solid blocks of aluminum using CNC machining, and the result is something amazing. I love everything about the design because they've even changed things like how the seat post clamps into the frame just to make them better because they could. And the overall result is an electric mountain bike that, to me, is a functional work of art. And when I saw this bike, I thought this was going to be well over the $10,000 mark because of all of the machining and design work that went into this. But to my surprise, you can buy a frame set starting at about $5,500. You can buy a complete bike starting at around $7,000. I think that's actually very reasonable for what you're getting. What would you rather have, the Voima or a 1984 Dodge Rampage? I know which one I would pick. Number 2 on the list is Outrider USA. Now, they make a wide variety of bikes, or sometimes they just refer to them as vehicles. If you have some sort of disability that prevents you from riding a normal 2-wheeled bike, or even some 3-wheeled bikes, they definitely have some options. I feel like one of these would be perfect for me right now. I could use one of these to get around the neighborhood and just get outdoors and have some fun. But the power options and battery options they have are pretty insane, and I think justify the high price tag. I'm gonna focus on the Alpha model in particular, which is kind of a road-going version trike. And the lowest motor option is 1,000 watts. If you want, you can bump that all the way up to 4,000 watts of power, which I think is just right. And the battery capacities, the Voima we just talked about has a decently large battery for an electric mountain bike at 750. The minimum for the Alpha is 1.5 kilowatt hours, and that is the smallest option. You can go all the way up to a 6 kilowatt hour battery, which is huge, and they claim a range of up to 200 miles, which honestly is totally believable. And one of the other cool things they have as an option is faster chargers. And I'm not talking about twice as fast or 3 times as fast. A normal e-bike charger is going to be around 100 watts. Some of them, in rare cases, you'll see like a 4-amp charger, which is about 200 watts. Well, the Alpha can have a 1,000 or even up to a 1,500 watt to get 200 miles of range in just a few hours. I mean, you're really competing at that point with some electric cars. Awesome trikes. I'd love to ride one if you ever feel like sending one out to Northern California for a review. And that's why they make it to number 2 on the list, starting at just under $10,000. If you add all the options in, a little over $12,000. The Alpha might seem expensive, but when you consider how much gas you'll save compared to the similarly priced 1967 Ford Galaxy with a V8, I think the choice is clear. Now, before I get to number 1, which is by far the most expensive on this list at nearly double the cost of the Outrider, what if you don't want to spend that much money? What if you want to have the experience of riding a $5,000 e-mountain bike without the $5,000 price tag? Or you want to ride a $2,000 bike without the $2,000 price tag? Turns out you can, because at Area 13, we have started renting some of our most popular models. We're starting with the Blackbirds and the Falcons right now. So we have a fat tire hub motor 750 watt bike, and then we have a 500 watt carbon fiber e-mountain bike. And you can even rent, in addition to the bikes, a rack for your vehicle. Basic helmets are available with the rental bikes for free. And if you want to upgrade to Sena Bluetooth helmets, you can actually talk to each other through walkie-talkie communication. Instead of spending $200 on the helmets, you can rent them from us for as low as $5 a day. So if you're in Northern California and you want to try some great e-bikes, you can come to our shop, you can drive away with the bikes, go for a fun ride for the day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, without actually buying. And the best part is, if you decide that that was a ton of fun, 50% of the rental can be applied towards the purchase of a bike. I'll put a link in the description of this video for all the details on our rentals. And finally, number 1, the most expensive bike on this list, we have the Optibike R22 Everest, coming in at a whopping $18,900. It is a full suspension mountain bike with a claimed 300-mile range. Now, is that accurate? They actually put a nice chart on their website, which I'll put on the screen here, which I think accurately depicts what the range would be under different circumstances. Now, to get that 300-mile range, you have to be a reasonably lightweight rider, and you have to be pedaling at a lower speed. With a 3.2 kilowatt hour battery pack, I think that's totally doable. Now, one of the cool things about this battery is that it is a single battery enclosure, but it has a switch so the battery can operate as a single battery, or it can effectively split into 2. They call this their out and back technology. Do your ride going one way, and when the battery dies, you've only used half the battery capacity. You flip the switch and you know you can make it back. This is a bike that's primarily assembled in the US, and that includes their custom proprietary battery design. It has fins on the outside that look like they're acting as heat sinks to keep everything cool. More impressive to me than the battery design is the fact that they also designed and build their own motors in their factory in Colorado as well. That has a 1700 watt nominal power rating with a peak rating of 2500 watts. And you have a custom designed carbon fiber frame. On top of that, you're getting some really good components. In the rear wheel, you're getting that 14-speed roll-off hub with a mid-drive motor of this power level. I think it's just a perfect power package. So is the Optibike R22 worth $18,900? I mean, I could get this 1946 Air Coupe airplane for a little bit less, but I'll let you be the judge. Now, if all of these bikes were too rich for your blood, go check out the last one I made where I compared 5 different fat bikes for under $2,000. There's a buy now button on this thing.